Alright, I went ahead and I airbrushed the bottom where the reflector dish is going to go, and I put it in gray, and I didn't think it looked quite right, so I put it in black. I think it looks a little better in black. So we're going to get ready to put the reflector dish in. Okay, so what I did was, you can see how small the shuttlecraft bay is on the ship, and I'm painting in the detail right now. What I did was I went ahead and, let me show you exactly what I did. I took, okay, the trees that it comes on, so I took a piece of the tree, and what I did was I flattened it out with some pliers. Flattened it out a little bit so it's not round, cylindrical. It's more like a, a rectangle shape. Then with the knife, I just kind of sliced down a slant in the front, and I took another little piece off the tree and I cut it in half, and I made the little nacelles for the small shuttlecraft. So I'll put the Galileo into the shuttlecraft bay when I finish painting. I'm waiting for it to dry now so I can finish. But that's what that's going to be. That's going to be the Galileo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a coat of white paint on it when it's dry, and then a little bit of detail, and I'll show you guys what the Galileo shuttlecraft will look like. Okay, so let me tell you guys what I did for the reflector dish. It calls for gold paint, and I was going through the gold paint, and what I actually did was my wife was doing her nails, and I decided that a lot of her nail polish was actually, there were good colors for some of the detail work in the ship itself, in the decks, and the gold. Let me show, where is it? Here it is. The gold nail polish I thought would have been great on a reflector dish. So that's what I did. I went ahead and I put it on, and I thought it came out pretty cool. It's reflecting, the way you would expect a real reflector dish to be, reflecting everything. I think it looks pretty good. But anyway, I used the gold nail polish for that. I taped this and I airbrushed the black part. But it's looking like it's getting ready to put onto the secondary hull. And again, this part is drying, and I still got some detail work to go on here. And then of course I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna put the lights in, but it's coming along. Okay, so I went ahead and I gave it a coat of white. Incidentally, it was white nail polish that I used, because it'll make kind of an enamel on it, and it's so tiny. But I had put the white on, and once that's dry, then I'll put the small details on, and I'm going to put it into the Shuttlebay, a little Galileo into the floor of the Shuttlebay. And as you can see, I tried to make the cross section look weathered. I used black, I used gray, and a little bit of tan. I tried to make it look like rust. It didn't really come out like I wanted it to, but it still is coming out. I just got a couple of more detail touch-ups to do, and then I'll start by putting the lights in, figuring out where I'm going to put the lights. But Shuttlebay is almost done. Alright, so I went ahead and I tried to put as much detail on the Galileo as I could. The problem is it's so small, and my fingers are so big and clumsy. I really had nothing to get in that small to detail. So I put the windows, and I tried to put the red line on the side and the rocket grill on the back, but again, it's just so small. But that's pretty much the best I can do, and I'm going to put it into the shuttle bay. You can see, let me focus a little better. It's got the floor. I just finished the floor, and I cleaned up the sides of the hull. I did the detail work, so I'm ready to glue everything together. Did the detail work, so I'm going to put the decals on. You can see the details, the windows. And then I can glue the side. This is going to go into the side of that. And I'm going to glue the Galileo Shuttlecraft into the bay. I'll show you what that looks like finished. And I'll see if I can zoom in and get you a picture of it. So I went ahead, I put the decal on the secondary hull. I cleaned up the windows and the detail work. I've got the deflector dish all set and ready to go. Up the Galileo Shuttlecraft fell over. It's so little. Let me try to fix them for you. There you go. A little Galileo Shuttlecraft. And I got the halves all set. Take this off, and I can glue it. Let me get it up a little closer to the camera. And I tried to, like I said, I tried to make it look like rust, but it's detail, and my hand wasn't the steadiest. But all in all, I think it coming along pretty well. So I'm going to let it dry really well. I'm going to glue it together. And then I'm going to drill the holes where I'm going to put the lights to illuminate the decks. I thought about doing it from behind, but it really won't show that well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bulb coming through, and I'm going to paint the half of it and let it illuminate the exposed decks. I don't know how much, if it's going to get to the shuttle bay, but I don't really have much options, many options when it comes to lighting it. So it's getting there, and I'm gonna let it dry really well, and then I'm gonna drill the holes for the lights so I can pass the lights in. What I'm gonna have to do is, as you can see, there's a pretty good channel behind the neck for the wires, but I made a little notch for the wires to go from the bridge, the saucer section. So I'm gonna have to deepen the channel a little bit to run the wires through the neck. I notched it out over there to run behind the walls, and then eventually up through the nacelle. So that's the update for now. Alright, so now I went ahead and I drilled the holes in the secondary hull for the lights. And I went ahead and I'm running the wires, but I gotta glue them in place so they don't move. So I'm gonna wait for those to dry, and then I'm gonna be able to put this half and glue it into the second half of the primary hull, secondary hull, excuse me. Okay, so I finished the secondary hull. Let me just take that off for you. I did the detail work. The glue is set. Again, the parts didn't go together that well because of the wiring. I had issues where I had to carve out the back and run the wire through, because I'm using a thick wire, because I like the lights. The lights are bright, and the wire thickness is pretty difficult to get through the model, especially since it wasn't designed for lighting. But it is bright, and let me show you. I like the brightness of these lights. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to black this half of the bulb so it doesn't glare and it focuses primarily on the inside of the ship. The same thing with the rear quarter. And another little extra that I made, you guys can see, I created a space Shuttlecraft Galileo is in there. Interestingly, they didn't come with a Galileo. I figured that this would be a perfect model to put the Galileo in. But as you can see, the Shuttlebay was empty. I don't know if I can zoom in. Again, I didn't do a great job on it. And I'm sure you guys out there that are a lot more resourceful and more experienced at modeling than I am. But that's my version of the of the Galileo Shuttlecraft. It was so small. And my detail work of the inside of the ship. You can see where the nacelle is going to go. And you can see down in the lower sections of the secondary hull with the hangar deck. And behind a deflector dish, you can see the different decks. You can see the turbo lift in the different areas, the different rooms in the turbo lift. And that's on the base. I glued the base in place. I'm gonna have to figure out what I can do with this power pack, because my other video, the Enterprise, the 25th anniversary edition, I actually went ahead and glued it to the power pack to the base. And it did work out very nicely. But we'll see. This is not really a big base. And this model is really not balanced that well. I'm hoping it gets better when the other nacelle goes on. But for now, this is the secondary hull of the 30th anniversary edition of the USS Enterprise, with extras, lighting, and the Galileo Shuttlecraft. So now, moving on to the nacelles.